Good evening. We're calling the Select Board meeting of Newfane on January 17th, 6 p.m. to order. Welcome everybody who's home. And we are here, Mike Fitzpatrick, Chris Williams, Shelley Huber, Shannon Meckel, and Carol Hasselbeck, Town Clerk, and I'm Marion Dallin. So the first thing is, do we have an addition or amendments to the agenda for tonight?
I have an amendment to the agenda that please show that Gary Julius is also is for the...
You know what? I am so sorry. You are absolutely right. I forgot to mention that Gary Delius is on the telephone with us tonight. Vice Chair, how could I forget? I apologize, Gary. So,
Okay.
here we are. Okay, any additions or other amendments to the agenda? No, okay. So the first thing is the minutes of January 3rd, our regular Select Board meeting. Does anybody have any additions or concerns about the minutes? All those who, no, we need a motion then to accept. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as they are written?
Motion.
Okay, a second, please.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, and the regular. Gary, did you say?
I did not, because I was not in attendance at that meeting. I need to abstain from that particular minute.
Okay, thank you. So the minutes are accepted. The next thing on the agenda is the budget meeting, which was held on January 8th. And has everybody read the minutes? And if there are any... Okay, great. Second, anybody? Okay. All vote to accept the minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the minutes, both of them have passed, and we move on to the next item, which is road business. The road foreman is Jay Wilson, and we are assuming that Jay right now is out on the roads, is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Yes, and he's working very hard with all the crew members in the snowy evening. So we hope that they're doing well and driving safely, and thank you so much for all the work you do. So we do have a road...
Most of the paper on the road foreman and road commissioner reports is signed shortly.
Yes,
That will be our next regular meeting.
yes. So I was just going to say, Gary, that we do have the road foreman's and the road commissioner's report.
Oh, good, okay, I'm sorry.
We do have it.
No, we don't.
No, we don't
We
have,
don't have a road from last week?
For this one, no.
no, we don't have them.
I'm sorry, I thought I saw one. Okay, thank you, Gary, for saying that and my error. Okay, so we're waiting till next week when Jay presents that.
Is it next regular meeting or is it...
Regular meeting, Gary.
Okay.
Okay. The next item under road business is certificate of highway mileage. And Shannon, can you talk about that, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Every year, the town has to certify whether the town mileage has changed. It hasn't changed. We haven't taken on any roads and we haven't given up any roads. So it is identical. And so we just have to certify by checking this box that we have no changes. And then the select board, at least 3 of you, because there's only 3 lines, sorry, have to sign it, and then I give it to the town clerk to certify.
Okay, great. So would you like to start? by signing?
What is that? It'd be interesting to know what the mileage is.
Okay.
Is
I
there
would
a
look to Chris to make the motion to approve that.
Okay.
If he knows the road situation, and I'm not there.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
There's 69.612 total miles in Newfane.
Mhm.
Okay. All in favor for accepting the certificate of highway mileage?
Aye.
All those against? No? Okay, the certificate of highway mileage passes. Thank you, Shannon, very much.
Do you want me to go ahead and sign?
Yes, please. Okay, the next item on the agenda is administrative assistance report.
Okay, I have a very short report,
Very short.
very short.
Okay.
President's Day is the second, is actually the third Monday in February, which is our second meeting. And that's a holiday, so the board will need to figure out what you want to do with that meeting. It's the
You want to do that
19th
right
of
now?
February. Yeah, you could decide
Okay.
that now.
Okay, because we have select board meeting on the 5th, and that's
And then-
also when the town report is due, and the 19th is President's Day. Would you like to do it on that Wednesday? That seems to be a day we use for
So the
substituting.
21st?
Yes, are you available? February
No.
21st?
I don't know. Sounds good right now.
Sounds good to you? Okay, how about you, Shelley?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. And Chris?
That works for me.
Okay, get right there. Okay, so,
21st, you said?
yes, at 6 PM, select board meeting.
Okay.
And Chris, we hope you'll be here with us.
And this is instead of, I'm sorry,
The 19th.
the
The
19th.
Yeah, 19th is President's Week. Okay, go ahead, Shannon.
Okay. Jay and I attended the FEMA briefing last week to learn about the new website that all of the paperwork will be done through. It's much different than it was 7 years ago. It sounds easier, I hope it is. We learned about what will be covered, what won't be covered, and all of our projects are going to be small projects. So that will make the process a little bit easier than it was last time around. The two bigger projects are going to be covered through the Federal Highway Administration because it's a federal connecting road. That was Dover Road, which is also an easier process. So hopefully this will not take as long as it is still taking from Irene. And actually I have a little update on Irene FEMA reimbursement. They've closed out the second to last project yesterday, and then they have one more project to close out. So,
That's great.
yeah,
Very good.
time for the next one.
Yeah.
So,
Very good.
yeah. So other than that, I'm just continuing to work on the FEMA reimbursements and getting the town report done. So,
Okay. Thank you so much. And I come in here and I see Shannon at work morning, noon, and late afternoon. It's unbelievable what Shannon does. We thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Can we make a motion to accept the administrative assistance report, please?
Motion.
Okay, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the report is accepted. Thank you, Shannon. Okay, next item on the list, scheduled members of the public. And the first one is about the Planning Commission and the Brookside community. Are you,
Yeah, except for they were all told not to come till 6:30 or 6:40. That's what when we sent the email out. That was the last email we got when I clarified the time. Marion?
I'm Marion.
So I think it was either you or Lynn for
No,
us.
Lynn Forrest,
She sent an email back saying that we weren't on the dock until 6:30 or 6:40. If we got here at 6:30, we'd be fine. I just gave her all the case.
Shannon, can we move it to,
yeah, we can just keep going and then
yeah,
come
Yeah,
back to
just,
it.
I mean, I'm not sure who else is, but I think others were planning it.
okay, yes. Yeah, we didn't know if people were going to come out in the snow, but we'll hold off on
And
that till
do it
later
if I'm
on in
the
the
one here.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Ed Druke, WW Building Supply.
Not yet. We
He's
can
not
skip
here
over.
yet. We can
yeah,
skip
and come
over.
back. That's fine.
Okay, unscheduled members of the public. Unscheduled members, nobody? Okay, moving right along. New business. We are doing very well here. The first one, bank note,
Yes.
and that's the funds to cover flood damage.
Yes,
And-
we were approved to receive a $300,000 loan for a term of 1 year, which will cover the expenses for this last rainstorm. And that just basically covers the cash flow until the FEMA reimbursements start coming in. And so the board would need to sign the documents
Okay.
if they so choose.
Shannon, can you tell me what the interest rate is?
I'm
The
sorry.
interest rate.
It might be on, here, can you that? Let's see. 2%.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
2%, okay. I guess you need a motion first, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, motion to accept the bank note to cover flood damage in lieu of FEMA reimbursement. Is that correct?
300,000 at 2%.
Okay, anybody
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor of accepting the bank note
Well, I
to,
think you should discuss it first, see if there's any other discussion. I think 2% is a good interest rate. But do you have an idea yet, when the FEMA funds might become available to reimburse us?
I would say within that 1 year time, and we can pay it quicker if it comes in quicker.
Okay, right.
It's a 1-year note.
Yep.
any other further discussion? Okay, so can we vote on accepting the bank note for the funds to cover flood damage? All those in favor say aye.
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 Right.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and it is accepted. Okay. We'll go on to the second part of new business, and then can we go back
Yep.
to Ed Druke?
Yep.
Okay. The next part, item under new business is question on town meeting warning, and that's 3-year
So that's
term.
me.
And that's Carol Hesselbeck.
Yep, so I'm here on behalf of the town clerk, the treasurer, and the delinquent tax collector.
Okay.
And we would like to request that the select board put articles on the warning for town meeting, wherein the town would agree to have the next election for the 3 positions be for 3-year positions instead of 1-year positions. So that would be in March of 2019 that we would be running for 3-year positions instead of 1-year positions.
Okay.
Reasons. It helps us know if that we're going to have some continuity, or whoever runs for the other position next year, especially if there are any long-term projects or things that are coming down the pike that we need to learn about, or what have you, because the state is making so many changes in all of the vital records things, and I'm sure in the treasurer's world. So we would really like to next year run for 3-year positions instead of 1-year positions.
Okay.
And this is something we would like the town to vote on.
Well, thank you for presenting this issue to us. Is there any discussion?
I'm sorry, it was the town clerk.
Town clerk, treasurer,
And the delinquent tax collector.
and the delinquent tax collector.
Marion, could you repeat again what the request is for those positions?
The request is that instead of running 1 year at a time, that it's changed to a 3-year term,
Starting March.
starting on March 2019.
Right. And the request is just to have the article in the warning, the
Yes,
town
the
would vote on
request
it.
is article in the warning.
Okay, so the town meeting would have to vote on that.
Yep.
Yes,
All right,
okay.
that's fine.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, so we'll put this to the vote. May we have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we, I'll second. Here.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, Aye?
Yes.
Okay. All those opposed say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and that passes. And thank you, Carol, for being here tonight. And you also do an incredible job here, and
Thank you.
really, we so appreciate you. You're great.
Panicking a little bit about the upcoming elections, because I haven't done them before, but we'll get through them.
You will, and I'm sure everybody will work with you on it. Thank you. So we're going to go back to scheduled members of the public, and Ed Druke from WW Building Supply is here.
So
Do
I
you want to come up in front, Ed? please?
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I'm here back to make a proposal to you on buying part of the land here. So I have a presentation to do that. I'm not sure that I want to do that within the public. I think we should have discussion about that back and forth, up to you guys.
So here, right, just to do the proposal that you want to do it still,
What's that?
trade, swap the land or whatever.
Purchase the land from the town and then discussion about, what you as the town would want in place of that, or use, or joint use of this land.
Ed, could you make it clear to people who are watching us what land exactly you're talking about?
Well, that is what we are to discuss.
Oh,
So
okay. I
it's-
thought originally
it's
it's
purchasing,
this one.
right, some of this land, which without
On this side, when you're facing Town Hall, you are interested in
the south
purchasing
side.
the south side. of
Yeah.
the-
Part
Which is
of the
currently
parking,
the parking lot,
part of the parking lot.
part of the parking lot, okay.
Yeah.
And then you would like to know what we're doing on this side? Or you have interest in that side?
Well, I assume you might have interest in that side.
Yeah,
Right.
to move our parking lot and things like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Mike, do you
I
have
think
any?
it's a great idea. I've been all for it right from the start, because, he wants to, better up his store.
Mhm.
Make a nicer store and everything in town, and everything like that, and anything I think we can do to help that, make it work. Because it'd be a really loss to town if I had to pull out of town.
Yeah.
I think it's very,
And
very
like I said, it
important.
doesn't, the way I look at it, as far as town office, if we swap parking lot for parking lot or whatever, then it doesn't
So-
matter if we walk out of this thing, go left or right,
So part of this, in my thinking of it, is that to leave the land enough for you use on this side, because your septic is over here and everything, you have to have X amount there to keep that intact. Which the parking area is going to be used by us. We aren't looking at putting a building up in the parking area. Matter of fact, we would add to the parking area to the south for, to extend it to where the building's gonna be, in that respect. So it's a matter of negotiating where that would be and then talking about, is joint use of that parking lot more effective than putting in a whole new paved parking lot where this will be available for you when I'm not open. I mean, you're here now and nobody's at my place.
Yeah.
And most of the time, when you, during the day here, you may have 10 cards at a time, possibly.
I think
But it's still public use that the whole parking lot could be used for either or us.
Yeah, that's one of the things, once you get to the point where you get your building designed, and like you said, you're gonna add a little bit more that way for parking and everything too,
Well, again, if we purchase the land there, the entrance for the people to come in would be here, of course, coming into the store and then coming around the building to go into the yard area versus using Loop Road like we have been
Yeah.
for all of it. Still, there would be the truck traffic on
That's
Loop
all.
Road for us to bring product in
Right.
and stuff. And for us, taking product out would go out that way too, as in our trucks. So,
we started in design work.
I mean, I have an idea of what we are thinking about, but again, that all depends on where we draw that line of where that's gonna be. And that, that's something, do we do that here now? Or, I know we had mentioned about an executive session for negotiations of that type of thing, so I'm up with you guys.
Have an executive session at this point.
You can?
I have experience with shared property, with a property that I manage, commercial property, so.
I mean, I'd like to see this all go through before we have another board. You know, we've been talking about it for a year or two now.
Yeah.
You know,
I would too.
I would too.
and it'd be nice to get it all settled out. Like I said, it doesn't bother me either way. If you think you can make it all work that way, or we can have a swap, you know, for a piece.
This number one? Okay. So I think at this point, I'm going to call to go into executive session. And since people are still coming in, wandering in at this point through the snow, to have the meeting about the Brookside community and the sign, if you don't mind, we'll have an executive session. And the reason for the executive session is negotiating or securing real estate purchase or lease options under 1 VSA Section 313A2. So I'm calling for executive session to begin at 6:22.
You're looking for a motion, Marion, is that correct?
Yes, I'm looking for a motion. I didn't know that, but I am. Now that I know, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion like this.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, say nay. Okay, we are going into executive
We
session.
have
at
Shannon and
6,
Druke.
and also, maybe we have a motion to have Shannon come into the meeting with us. Any second? Anybody second that?
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, Shannon joins us, and the executive session starts at 4:23. I mean, 6:23, sorry. We're coming out of executive session at 6:49. And we need a motion for that,
You have
please.
a motion to reconvene. Wait for a second.
Yeah. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I said it,
Aye.
okay? And
Yeah.
now we need a motion, now.
I make a motion that Shannon gets hold of 3 of the local realtors to give us appraisal on this piece of property that we're thinking of selling or swapping to WW.
Okay.
We also include the listers now?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Is there a second on that motion, please?
second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
To have it by our next meeting.
By our next meeting, which is February 5th at 6 PM, Monday. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Was there any discussion, any further discussion? No. Okay. So the ayes have it, and the motion passes. And thank you, Mike, and thank you, Ed, for coming and spending your time with us. And I'd like to thank all of you for being patient while we were in executive session. You had a good time? Did you have a party? Okay. That's it?
Yeah. Good luck, Ed.
Okay.
All right, great, thank you.
Good luck, Ed. Thank you. Okay, so we are now going back up to the scheduled members of the public, and that is the Planning Commission and members of the Brookside community. And Lynn, can you please
Okay, this
introduce
is
the
Liz Forrest,
subject?
Chair of the Newfane Planning Commission. A number of months ago, the Planning Commission met with residents of the Brookside Village, which to our embarrassment didn't know existed. And it's out toward East Dover, And what's the cross street right there, the main cross street?
Well, it's between Penner Road and Adams Hill Road.
And back in the day, they had a sign, and the sign was stolen. And they would like to have a sign that says Brookside Village. If you look at any of the Newfane maps, it says Brookside Village, not Brookline, Brookside. So I will introduce Jennifer Stanchfield. She's been working with Angela Sanborn on getting this kind of thing happening and for some of the residents to be able to come and talk to the select board. But before I do that, I just want to read an email I received from Merle Mundell, whose family had been in that area for a long time, and whose
His family is one who originally put out the signs many years ago.
was it
yeah.
father or grandfather was a poet laureate of
His great uncle.
great uncle. Okay, so that's our history. You see, as we learn in the planning commission, you learn. So. Merle writes, "Hi folks, I'm watching your move to have Newfane recognize the village of Brookside as an entity, not entirely as an uninterested observer. My uncle, William Mandel, was a real champion of the village concept and placed the only sign I ever saw to designate the village on the opposite side of the East Dover Road from his home and drive. Growing up in the village, it was always clear we were in the village of Brookside, but it wasn't widely used outside of the village. I wish you folks well in your endeavor for recognition. Good luck tonight, Merle Mandel, Jr." So I'll turn this over to Jennifer. She can give you some more information.
And we did find it was used outside the village, like in the state documents, there was a lot. Yeah, and even in town meeting minutes from quite long ago, they would refer to,
but I don't know where it is.
yeah, they would refer to us as a village just like the others, equally, you know. But I think what happened over the years, back when it was a thriving village, like so much of our town, you know, there were more people here in the mid-1800s. This article shares about all the different things that were going on in the village at that time. But I think when the community was looking at village designation, and Brookside was on the original list of who the select board was going to start looking for village designation, I saw the meeting minutes for that, and Brookside was mentioned.
In
But
2002.
But probably what we're guessing what happened is that as they researched it, because we don't have an open business there anymore, or a church, or an active school, and at the time, we had just moved there. The Mundells, their house, they had died, and the houses had been empty. But in that last 20 years, a lot of people have moved in. You moved in, the Campbells moved in, we moved in, Chris Erickson returned to his home, and now there's 2 new young families there. So it's really becoming a very full-time, it's a full-time resident, kind of thriving neighborhood, and has been for 20 years now. We always called it Brookside. When we found our house, that's how everybody around it referred to it. There was the Mundell family had made it a kind of Art Deco sign in the 30s, 40s, and Kenny Campbell actually saw somebody from Tennessee stealing it.
Oh, jeez.
But didn't catch him in time. They had already put it in the back of their car, and they were going for our dead end sign when he scared them away. But that was probably 10, you know too, because you've been around. That was at least a decade ago, would you say? But do you remember that sign? Yeah, the posts are still there. And Michael and Allie Edwards, who bought that house, they'd be happy to have it there again. But we also have some other ideas, because traffic calming, like the other villages, is a huge deal.
Speeding.
Yeah, speeding is a very big deal, because people coming from Mount Snow area, they come flying through our village at 50, 60,
60,
70.
if not more. There's a straightaway when they come like from this way and they cross the bridge at Penner. You can hear them coming. We live right on the road. You hear them coming, and the acceleration is insane. And I've had my hand hit while walking. You've come close while just going to our mailbox.
And on the other side too, coming down the hill
Yes.
from Dover,
There's just a straightaway right there, and they just automatically. So I do think too that if we could get village signs
Yeah.
and speed limit, I'd be happy if they'd go 35, let alone 25. But I do think that's enough that maybe people will go, oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
No, some of this started for us kind of emotionally, you know, after the sign was gone, we all kind of took that in stride, and it happens, but and it's just a little background, after Irene, and you know this, our area was really devastated, and
completely cut off.
And people in the town didn't know it for a number of days. And we even had somebody in the select board, the day we were trying to evacuate the couple who lost everything, somebody say, oh, you're not from our town anyway, you're from Eastover. And it was a select board member.
Yeah.
So a few of you were around for that, and no. We also had the tax collector at the time show up to a person who was devastated before any help was in our neighborhood. So it was just kind of one of these things where we suddenly realized people in our own community didn't know we existed either, and we're thinking we were Eastover. So, you know, as members of this community, we would really like it to be acknowledged that we are part of this community.
And we have an amazing history.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you read that, Hilly Van Loan wrote that article, and it was published in the Cracker Barrel newspaper several years ago.
I got one.
It's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that you gave us this. I was looking forward to reading it.
And there's
I
a
would-
lot more that some of the planning commission found online, right? A couple of members of the planning commission found some really other neat articles from the state, right? Yeah. One of the members, yeah.
Right. But it would be a shame if our area was lost to history,
Oh, absolutely.
to not have it be remembered as other villages in Newfane.
We also, the poet laureate piece is pretty interesting. At the planning commission, I think a couple of people saw the poetry books that William Mundell had written.
Really?
So he was one of the
Yes.
first poet laureates of the state of Vermont.
Really?
All about the area, all about Brookside.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
And a couple of you, I don't know if you've been around, you know, right? Do you remember people referring to it as
It would be
Brookside?
great to have some
Well,
kind of
no,
event
they also know
in your
like,
village.
Merle Lynn used to work from up there, she was when they overgo her dad.
I keep hearing about it, and I'm glad to see you guys here and standing up for it. So it's be recognized.
Yes, definitely. So how does this work, Lynn, in terms of getting a sign?
We just
We
made the
have to-
recommendation to the select board. The select board, last time we were here, said they wanted to hear from people who lived in
Right.
that village. So I turned it over to whoever's in charge in the select board of having signs made.
So it's our decision at this point, or our choice of
in our
having a
towns.
sign
Yeah,
made.
it could be something, you might want to take design ideas, you might just want to reproduce what is here in the town of Newfane when you enter it. I don't know if the South Newfane sign has been replaced. I know that went out when it got knocked down.
Yep.
We might want to have one like that. Nobody has a picture of the sign that was in Brookside Village, otherwise.
The
that
posts
would
are
be
still
easy.
there. And then the metal posts that it was on are there.
And does this have to do with the road crew at Road Commission also for signs?
I don't know where Jay gets them.
I'm sorry.
Would you have a sign at each end or?
Yeah.
Ideally,
We did, but we would like it.
because they speed up, really,
Yes.
they speed up right at Adams Hill Road and they speed up right at Penner. So if,
Yeah, would you have it at Adams Road or at the town line?
probably at Adams Hill, well,
Across the street.
because really that's where Brookside starts, I think, technically.
Adams Hill.
Yeah.
Across from where Marion's house used to be what used to be Marion's house is now Dylan's house.
So that you'd see it
I
coming
think
down
there's
the hill.
some rule about when you have, how far from a village your speed limit starts. And that, Jay would know, the road crew would know where that is, where a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit would
That
start.
speed limit is actually
Like-
35 through
It's
there.
It is there.
And it starts in Eastover, right? That it's
Yes.
35.
And that would be
a long
wonderful if
ways.
people
Yeah.
would.
Way up,
That whole hill, they're supposed to be
at
doing
Snow,
35.
at Snow Road or whatever.
Yes, it
Around
turns to
there.
35.
But I
Yeah,
think at this
halfway down
point,
the road.
we're talking two different issues. We're
Right.
talking replacing a physical sign, and then we're talking about having some speed notification or village notification,
Right.
so that hopefully people will slow down. I do want to say that I did see, maybe a month ago, that there was the flashing
Yep.
Speeding
It's
sign?
over on South Wardsboro Road right now, and then I think the plan is to move it into your area.
That would be
So
great.
good.
I thank you for getting that done, that's great.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
that's great, that's
It's
wonderful.
gonna be all over town, just different times.
If you move it around, people don't get used to it.
Yeah.
The wandering
Oh,
lights.
someone suggests putting something that looks like a camera on it. People won't know that it's not taking a picture.
Until it hits the internet.
Just don't post it on Front Porch
The
Forum.
first meeting, when Brookside presented to us, that he thought he knew what the old sign looked like and the basic size of it.
Well, we do have the posts are there. They're
Yeah, the
still
posts
there.
are there, but the shape of the sign itself.
Who was it who knew that?
He just said that when
He said that somebody, he said that some, at the first time this was presented, God bless you. That somebody, that some,
Okay, when Brookside Community first came to us
right,
last year, I believe that, and presented, to rename and to reclaim Brookside Village, I believe that Todd said at that time that he remembered what the sign looked like.
I'm sure
The dimensions.
I mean, would you want one?
Chris may have more recollection of that than I do.
Well, maybe the historical society might have some photographs or something.
And I don't even know that we're necessarily asking them to replicate what was there.
Right.
Because it was stolen, it probably looked really good in Art Deco, so therefore was a little more tempting to lift. If it's even a metal sign that maybe somebody wouldn't steal, and probably more affordable, and then could, potentially do one on each side of the village.
Would the select board want to have some of the people in the village do the research, come back and say, this is the kind of sign we want and this is how much it would cost to make?
I would really think that would be the right thing, to make everyone, have a voice in it.
The idea of doing one on each end, is that reasonable?
I think so, yes, definitely,
That'd be great, so we could look into that.
Yeah,
maybe
but-
Mindell's or something, got something with it.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, maybe you can talk
I
to
remember seeing it.
the members of your village and come
Yeah.
up with a design that you would like, the way we
I
had.
I guess the only thing that we would need to know is if the town of Newfane itself would prefer all the villages to have a uniform sign.
Yeah.
Because there was one going into South
They're not
Newfane. Do we
uniform now.
want them all to be different?
Right.
Or-
And what are the restrictions as far as the size and everything else?
Yeah,
Those are things
That's-
we'll have to,
That's
Well,
something
there is a
that,
size thing in zoning.
yes.
right,
Yeah.
that's not something that we would.
right.
have.
But if you can make some kind of a design that you were thinking, that you don't want it to be so fancy, but you want something that's attractive and appropriate.
I think the original one was at wood.
I
It was probably routed out and.
remember it being metal, but
No.
But
it was
you
wood.
all swear it was wood, but it just said Brookside
It
in
was painted.
big letters, just
Yeah.
said Brookside.
Yeah, somebody probably made it.
So what about
And we think Mindell's made
somebody
it.
drawing, coming here and showing us what you would like, and then we
Yeah,
can,
we'll look into it.
Okay.
would that work for everybody?
Or what do you think as far as having consistent signs in the different villages?
They're not uniform now.
They're not uniform
No.
now.
I mean, they're around the same size, and they're all wooden and painted, but they're other.
So they're all wooden
They are
and
wooden.
painted.
Yep.
So I would think keep that character.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely,
Other than that, they're not the same.
yeah.
Okay. I think it'd be nice to have its own personality.
That's really nice.
So
Thank you
how
for.
for new one?
Well, Gary, can you say it again because we didn't hear?
Sure. We're not looking for a neon sign.
A
No
neon.
neon.
No
neon.
Oh, no,
But
now.
I think if we can say as a board, we can, do wood.
Who currently
And
has the
paint.
South Newfane sign?
It's back up. It got put back up.
It's up,
Yeah, John Spicer repainted it.
okay, so you might wanna
We'll take pictures
take
of all
take
the
that
Right,
and
yeah.
replicate
village
that.
signs.
What was that?
Drives by it every day.
I didn't see it, I didn't see it, it's white.
That's the
White, I
problem.
didn't see it.
You don't see anything white right now.
I
It's-
know.
Oh yeah, so maybe it shouldn't be white. That's-
Okay,
Well, thank you for
Okay,
hearing
good.
us.
Thank you.
Susan?
Thank you for taking the time to hear
Well,
it.
thank you for coming here and thank you for being patient tonight while we had a meeting. And certainly thank you for coming out in this weather.
Absolutely.
So, so then Lynn, you can work with them on this and let us know when you want to have people, we'll schedule it on the agenda again. Is that good for you?
We can do that.
Okay, great. Thank you and drive
Thank you.
safely going home.
Thank you too.
Do we need to make a motion? Do we need a motion? No.
That's cool.
Okay, so we are on old business right now. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That will, it's coach.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Where is it? Located?
Yes, I've seen it somewhere. Oh, no, it's not one of them. It's the color, but
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Right.
Okay, so we are on old business.
It's in Spicer's Diner.
Land donation. Sorry. We're gonna wait for Shannon for a minute. We have gotten a letter from Rich Carroll.
Yes.
And Shannon's going to read the letter. And you want to just remind everybody what this land proposal letter is about?
Yes, so there's a proposal for a land donation by the Mayer Family Trust of 224 acres on Sunset Lake Road. And the question last meeting was regarding current use. So the attorney did receive a call back from the current use office, and this was his follow-up information. Dear Shannon, I'm writing to follow up with additional information regarding the current use tax ramifications of the proposed gift from the Mayer Family Trust to the town of Newfane of the 224.2 acre parcel. That parcel is currently enrolled in the current use program and has in place a forest management plan. Lori Hostetter at the Vermont Department of Taxes gave me further information. Lori told me that as a starting point, towns cannot have current use enrolled land in their own towns. So if the land is gifted to the town, it will be withdrawn from current use. When property is withdrawn from the current use program, no penalty is due until the property is developed. Because the property is subject to a current forest management plan, the town will need to maintain the forest land in accordance with the management plan, even if the land is withdrawn from the program. Failure to comply with an approved forest management plan is considered to be development, and the land use change tax would be due. However, if the town complies with the existing forest management plan, once the plan lapses, the town does not have to submit a new forest management plan. In that case, at the end of the forest management plan, the property would not be considered to have been developed, and no current use tax would be due unless the town takes further action, which would constitute development under the current use statute. If the town is considering the gift from the Mayer Family Trust, it should absolutely have a chance first to receive a copy of the forest management plan, review it, and understand what work will be required by the town to comply with the plan for the remaining term of the plan. Forest management plans are approved for 10-year periods. I do not know when the forest management plan for the family trust parcel went into effect. My recommendation to the board would be to ask the Mayer Family Trust for a copy of the current forest management plan, as well as ask when it first went into effect. Second, the town can review that plan and perhaps get input from the forester who prepared the plan to understand exactly what will be required of the town in terms of forest management, cutting, clearing, etc., for the duration of the term of the plan. Depending on what is required of the town, if the town would like to consider accepting the gift of land, it may consider asking the Mayer Family Trust to either complete the requirements under the forest management plan, if that is possible, or to pay the town an equal amount to the current use tax, so the town can simply pay the change tax to the state and have the property removed from the current use program.
Thank you.
And so there's still 5 years left in the plan.
And did we get a copy of that plan yet?
Nope, not until the board
No, we
talked about it tonight
Okay.
and decided that's what they want to do.
Yeah. We need to talk about the fact of what Richard Carroll is suggesting that the select board does and what the town would want to do from now
The
on.
forest management's just going in and hiring some timber and stuff. I mean, it isn't like it's gonna cost the town any money out of it, because you'd be getting the money out of your
Oh, out
timber.
of the timber, yeah.
I mean, as far as current use, I mean,
Depending
you
on
pretty
what-
much have that year, we'll never have it, because you don't pay tax anyways. The
Right,
town
but
is-
we would have to pay, there's a lien on it, and if it comes out of current use, which it
They
has
could
to,
develop it.
right, and if we don't follow the forest management plan, then
Right,
they
which is
consider
5
it
more
development.
years. So I said, you just stay in it for the 5 years and let it go as is that. you know.
Right.
So his suggestion is to know what that entails before we say, sure, we'll do it.
Yes.
And we should have a copy of the current forest management plan. So, Rich Carroll is suggesting that the board request that from the Mayer Family Trust. This way we don't have to pay for Rich to do this also.
Do we know when the last time that the property was forested?
Last time it was forested.
No, he didn't, he said something that night, but I can't remember what he said. But he said it was, that it's, you know, that's part of the program, is the forest, that X amount of years you
It
go.
was probably 5 years ago.
Right.
I remember when it was being done.
So, my suggestion would be to decide if we want to go forward with this, that Shannon can email Michael Mayer, we did get the email address for him, and request the copy of the forest management plan. And also, Rich was suggesting that maybe we get input from the forester who prepared the plan. So we could ask him who did that.
It was George Weir.
George Weiner?
Weir.
Can you spell it?
Weiner.
W-E-I-R.
Weir. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay. So, that's it in terms of, that you can email him and
And then
request.
would you do it like that, or is he just make sure it comes along with the deal? Forest management plan
Right.
comes right along. It's all written out anyways for current use, so it's.
Right.
Well, it is, and the town has to follow it.
Right.
To state, yeah.
So Rich is really, his only concern is that we know what we're doing before we say
Right.
yes.
Yeah,
What the cost is or whatever.
exactly.
Because you have to.
Just
there
make
will be
sure there's
costs.
nothing crazy in there.
Can anybody make a motion about this?
Yeah, I'll do the
Please.
motion. That we have Shannon get the forest management plan out of the mayor's family.
Okay, anybody second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor of having Shannon email Michael Mayer and asking for the copies of the information we need that Rich Carroll suggested, which would be copies of the forest management plan and perhaps to speak to the forester. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nay? No. Okay, so the motion passes and Shannon, you will be able to email him. Thank you so much.
Can I ask whether or not we can get more information regarding how the Manitou project would be working on that property? Their intent was to maybe continue with some of their programming and to assist
Well,
while
I
we're
think-
talking about it.
Yeah, I think that the concern, the overall concern is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the overall concern would be that there's an understanding that if the town takes over this land, that's it. And that there's, then we are in total control.
Okay.
And that has to be, and then we can decide what we want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think until some formal deed or something comes through with all the, conditions in it,
Yes.
Right.
Can't really make a
that's
decision.
what we're really gonna
Yeah.
wanna
Okay.
Thank
pay
you.
close attention to.
Anybody else want to talk about? Okay, so I think we're finished with that. And where are we? We are at Baker Brook Road issue.
I had sent a letter requesting with a copy of an application for an access permit, which was due by Friday the 12th, and I have not received an application.
All right.
The work already done
For the work that was already done, yes.
within the right of way. So I would think at this point, we'd have to probably turn it over to the attorney.
And have the stuff removed.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion with
I
Shannon.
think
Get hold-
that they have not responded to the request for to submit the application. But we have also within our rights to go out there and remove the structure, right?
Yes. Remove the berm.
Yes?
I mean, how is it? I mean, if the people do stuff within the right of way, without it, is there penalties and,
I'm trying to remember what his original letter said. If they don't, then you can do,
as I say, I think that's saying there's an attorney center thing, if there's a, fine that comes along with it, if it's so much a day until it's either removed or brought up to.
right. So maybe have him send her one saying,
as
You're
I
now
said,
in
have the
violation
town attorney
and-
send it, say she's in violation. And, if there's a fine along with it, that's what they have to do to get it going until it's permits either done and approved or the stuff has been removed.
Because we did offer her the opportunity to
File a permit.
file a
Right.
permit.
Which will be rejected. Because
Well,
it's,
It's
it
passed.
has to be,
okay, but that's the process.
At this
Right.
point, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it's overdue.
Okay, so, motion?
Yeah, did I make that?
sort of.
Yeah. I've already made the motion.
Yes. And we seconded. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Right?
Any opposed? No? Okay, the motion passes. And Shannon, you're going to have our attorney write to... Okay, thank you so much. And lastly, we have, not lastly, but the next one is correspondence. We have a few pieces of correspondence. The first one is from the Wyndham Regional Commission, and it's regarding something called Village Sanitation Pilot Study. And it says that this program will help our community center address limits to development and water quality impacts at no cost to the participating village. So this is going to be handed over to the Planning Commission to deal with. Okay. The next is the weekly legislative report from VLCT, and if you would like to read it, it'll be on the table, or Shannon might have it on her desk to anybody who would like to read it. The last thing is, this is from the zoning administrator, and it's a list of zoning permit applications. It's a log. And if anybody has interest in reading
lot of
this.
them.
Excuse me?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Would you like to look at it? So
Are
that's,
these applications which are still open, or are these applications which have recently been filed?
It says
Says-
zoning permit
Any that have been
application
applied
log.
For 2017.
Oh, that might be a year-end
So
report.
these are all applications which have been previously drawn. The work may be in process or it may be finished.
Correct. There's a status, permit in process, or issued, denied, referral. So
Yeah.
these are all the ones for 2017, it looks like.
Yeah, that's probably his year-end.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say,
Thank you.
that's a lot of action.
Susan?
It's a lot of action.
Yeah.
Well, actually, very few of them actually come through the DRB.
So we are up to pay orders. And so at this point, I think we need a motion to complete this meeting?
No.
No, I do that after.
Just
Okay.
say bye.
So
Say
That's
goodbye
it.
to the camera.
I'm going to say goodbye to the camera, and so are you. We're all going to say goodbye. It's safety at home. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on Monday, February 5th, 6 p.m. next meeting. Thank you.